Hi, Chantel. I wanted to leave you some feedback on your week one writing assignment. First off, your formatting looks great. It's very clear, very professional, so excellent work there. Next, I like your submission. I think you have a good sense of pacing. I think you have a good sense of paragraphing, and you have a real logical, linear move from each of your three paragraphs where you provide this introduction, you try to illustrate the introduction, and then finally you create a little bit of application here. There's just a few things here and there that I want to talk to you about. First off, be certain to read and edit for commas in your introductory phrases. I caught a couple sentences where you accidentally left off your introductory phrase. So let's talk about your first sentence, for example. Early into reading chapter 2, I had already begun relating and comparing the experiences, they were describing to those of my own. This is what is called an introductory phrase right here. So this means that you are just giving extra information before your actual sentence starts. Or I said that in a weird way, before the main meat of your sentence actually starts, which is the subject and the verb, right? This is just extra introductory information. So when you have that at the beginning of your sentence, you want to set it off with a comma. Let me give you an example of another one. This one right here. In fact, this is a specific kind of sentence. It's called a complex sentence. And it's actually considered an error if you don't include the comma. If I read this out loud, I bet you can hear where the comma goes. So let's do that. When we're playing these quarrels in my head, I realize that I almost always handle any encounter with another person with respect and understanding. So hopefully you heard when I read that out loud that there's a natural pause right here. That's where you want your comma to go. And it's really the same concept. This is the main part of the sentence. Everything up until that point is an introductory phrase. This is just a specific type of introductory phrase, which is why we call it a complex sentence. And we'll talk about that in the near future. My only other suggestion is you talk really broadly about examples of getting into disagreements. It would be more concrete and immediate if you actually captured a specific example of a disagreement that occurred in your life, right? So anytime that you can be concrete and specific, like draft a little mini narrative, your writing is going to be stronger. So one thing that we say in professional writing, any claims that you make have to be supported by evidence, and depending on the genre, evidence will take a variety of forms. In this type of writing where it's a personal response, evidence is going to take the form of narratives, right? Your own little personal examples of how you handled disagreements. So I think that in this paragraph would make the writing stronger. If you notice here, you got flagged by your word processing program, and that's because you have a possessive form here, but you just left off your apostrophe. So possession essentially means that we're talking about ownership. So what you're doing here is whose opinion? It's everyone's opinion, right? And notice if you leave the apostrophe out, that suggests that it's not possession, but plural form, right? Like that there's more than one everyone's. And you know that that's grammatically incorrect. We don't say everyone's, but that's not what you mean anyway. You mean the possessive form. So make sure that you edit for your apostrophes as well. That's something that's also important that readers will notice, and it might cause confusion. I like the way that you end this. And yes, rhetorical communication is a thing. Yes, you've applied it accurately, and I think provided a good definition for how that works for yourself and in your own life. Yeah, I think that's what rhetorical communication is all about, particularly when we discuss issues and conflict and topics in the public forum where there are multiple points of view. And sometimes these topics and issues are very controversial. And yes, if we approach them with respect and understanding and really try to hear the other side's point of view before putting in our 2 cents, that would be rhetorical communication. And I think that you've explored that well. So thanks again, Chantel.